Factorio. If you clicked on this video, you already know about the game and about the new DLC, Space Age. Unlike me, who didn't know about it until 2 days later.
You serious?
And here's the thing, I stopped playing a long time ago, because I know it isn't a really healthy game, and it's really addictive, and I wanted to escape that vicious circle, so I took control back over my life. I started playing War Thunder.
Bro, switch from using crack to using meth.
So here's the thing, Factorio is one of those games that I actually started, but never finished, and I want to make things right. So now I'm going to visit my old bases and try to beat the game on the last factory I built, to finally say goodbye to that version and start playing on the new DLC. So I'm loading the old save file right now, and don't mind the name, I'll explain that later. And this is my factory, and that's a pretty impressive pollution cloud. So the save file is called like that because I wanted to make a YouTube video way before, but I was lazy and I didn't record. I'm going to check the tech tree right now to know what researchers that I need, because I don't remember being that far from beating the game. And as you can see, I need yellow science packs, which I didn't produce. And now I will make sure to do that. But before that, I'm going to visit the first part of the factory right here. You can know that with the Mark 1 assembling machines, yellow belts, and also red and green science being produced right here. Labs are also here. After that, I'll make sure to check the second part. But before that, you can see those lanes of purple and blue science, they're coming from the second part, which I'll see right now. So I will check the second part of the factory right now, and as we will see, that part is really important. Why? Because everything is being produced right here, like purple and blue science, which are really important. Red circuits and oil is being produced right here. I mean being processed. And that ore patch is practically non-existent at this point. The iron, it was like 6 million when I started, now it's 1.6. You can already notice that with the pretty slow smelting rate of iron plates right there. Now I'm going to check the third part of the factory. So this is the last part of the factory I've built. And as you can see, this is the main boss, and honestly it's just overkill. It's like overkill, really. You don't need this much spells to beat the game. I mean, you don't need that much, but the reason for that is that I wanted to automate rocket production. I wanted to make space science packs, and if nothing is made up like really tidy, it will be hard to expand, really hard. And this is what made me quit my first and second playthrough. So the circuit blueprints I didn't make on my own. I got them from Nilos, I think. I watched his videos and he makes amazing blueprints. If you want your factory to be just perfect, nothing is being bottleneck, or your base is just going to be so organized if you use his blueprints, but you aren't going. It's kind of cheating, honestly, but they are really good. So now I'm going to stop with my tank, because if I go on in this section is filled with pipes. If I go with my tank, something is going to break, and it's not good fixing broken fluid system in Factorio. If you're asking why I use a tank to move, it's because I'm being constantly bullied by biters, and I have from time to time to go to fight with them and clear out a few nests, even though this section is walled off. So to beat the game, I need utility science packs, and I only need the flying robot flame, processing units, and low density structures. I already produced them, but the flying robot flame needs an electrical motor and a battery. An electrical motor is the most complicated, because it needs an engine unit and lubricant. which you make from heavy oil, and you also need an electrical circuit, tier 1 circuit, green one. So now I'm going to speed up this video because it's boring to see someone building a system like that. So now batteries are acquired, as you can see, and we also need electrical motors, which I'm making right now. So now I'm going to try to make electric engines, but before you make electric engines you need normal engine units, which aren't that hard to make, but they are really slow to craft, I mean to produce by assembling machines. And now this process was easy, honestly. I didn't use Mark III assembling machines, but this setup works, and it's not stupid if it works. And now I'm going to make electrical engines. Those are kind of hard to make because you need lubricant, which you make from heavy oil, and to make heavy oil it's kind of a messy process. It's not easy, to say that the least. You also need green circuits, which if you are using them at a large scale, they are pretty difficult to make. So as you can see now, the factory is working just perfectly. So in the meantime, I managed to make a little factory to produce tier 1 speed modules, and those I'm going to need to make tier 3 assembling machines, or Mark III, it depends on how you see it. And I'm going to use those assembling machines to make flying robot frames. And I just wanted to say, I want you to type in the comments what do you think about the video. It's the first time I'm making this kind of video, and it demanded a lot of work from me. So if you have any ideas how to improve them, you can comment below. I would really appreciate that. Thank you. And about that, you can see a really bad mistake that I did right there. I forgot about the steel, and I'm going to just drag out a belt from the main bus. After supplying the steel from the main bus, you can see flying robot frames are being produced on a steady rate, and that will be really important because I will later on have a bottleneck because of low density structures that aren't being produced fast enough. So now I produced the most complicated part, which is the flying robot frame. Processing units and low density structures I already produced beforehand during that save file, after like 80 hours. And the only thing I need now is to put a few assembling machines, Mark II assembling machines, because science isn't going to be consumed fast enough, so I need to use Mark III, for example. But after connecting it to the power grid, you can see it working just fine. And later on you will see the problem that I talked about with the low density structures, because that isn't that steady. So after that, I managed to make a train to move the science packs from the third part of the factory to the first one, because that's where the labs are. And that's the only fourth time I used train to move something, because the distance is quite long, and I would prefer honestly to use a long line of conveyor belts, but it would be too expensive. I would use blue ones, and I don't make that much to make a difference. The train is just going to be so much better, but that train took also way too much time to set up for me. The first research that I started after that was the rocket control units, because you obviously need those for the research of rocket silos, and it isn't that hard because they are like 300 I think, and the rocket silo is 1,000 of each science pack. So after that the research is finished, I gathered all the materials to make the rocket silo. And just so you know, this is the first time I actually made a rocket silo and actually trying to win the game. So now I'm going to set up the rocket silo for the first time. And when I saw what you need, honestly it's not that bad. Low density structures and rocket control units aren't that hard, because I'm near the main bus and I already produce blue circuits and green and red, like everything. Honestly, what is hard is just the rocket fuel. After that, I started the research on the SPIDERTRON, which you can see now is finished. And it was kind of slow because it needed 2000 science packs. And you know how I was being constantly bullied by biters until now. Well, now I think I got the solution to my problems, honestly. After a painful hour of handcrafting, which I really do not recommend in Factorio, you could see that I managed to make SPIDERTRON. And I also made a few fusion reactors because I need those for the grid. I made also some exoskeletons for the SPIDERTRON, but also for the Mark II power armor, which I'll make later. I also made a few laser protection units and shields because you need those to protect yourself from biter attacks, because the SPIDERTRON isn't invincible. And I was honestly disappointed with the SPIDERTRON. I thought it was invincible, honestly, with a lot of shields. I also made a little factory to produce high explosive rockets, which SPIDERTRONs use high explosive because they do the most amount of damage and they do area of effect damage. So use those. Normal rockets are just weak. So now you can see how I deal with my problems. Peaceful altercation with biters, I made Mark II power armor, which I filled to the brim with exoskeletons.
I'm fast as fuck, boy.
Our engineer is really excited, as you could see. And I also filled it up with roboports because they're really important. After that, I built Factory to produce tier 1 speed modules, which are needed to make rocket control units. And the rocket control units are one of the 3 essential elements to put in the rocket silo to make the rocket, and you will need also quite a lot of those. So after doing that, I dragged out a lane to feed the rocket silo. I connected it to the electric grid to power the inserters, which are going to feed the silo with the rocket control units. Then I copied my factory of low density structures because, as I said before, I didn't make them fast enough to accommodate my usage. I mean, for the utility science packs, they are consuming almost everything. After that, I'll make sure to make rocket fuel, which I already made. I just need to move it to the rocket silo. You can argue with me all day. I will always say that this is the most efficient way to transport any item in Factorio. Even though the blue belts are kind of expensive because they need a lot of iron gears. And after the rocket is supplied, all we have to do now is basically to wait. And would you look at that, the rocket is almost finished. And wow, what is that? A nuclear missile? But you know what? Who cares? Our engineer has Mark II power armor. He can survive anything. But now there is only one thing that I still need to beat the game, and that is to launch the rocket, which I'm doing right now. And as you can see it takes a few seconds before the rocket launches and for the animation to begin. I don't know, our engineer is really standing that close, but he doesn't care, most probably. The rocket is ascending, and this is the first time actually beating Factorio on any playthrough. And wow, almost 93 hours, and I didn't expect trees to be the most killed entity, honestly. And if you want the numbers, here they are, all of them. Now I can finally sleep at night knowing that I finished one of the history's greatest games, Factorio. If you stayed this long on the video, which I highly doubt honestly, I would really appreciate if you subscribe or at least drop a like. Thank you.